Welcome, Vintage Car Chronicles listeners. Whether you're tuning in on Spotify, Deezer, Apple Music, or YouTube, we're thrilled to have you along for today's deep dive.
And today, we're taking a close look at a car that's all about driving pleasure, the BMW Z4.
We've got a whole stack of articles, reviews, even some historical bits about the Z4.
We're ready to share the most interesting stuff we found with you.
Okay, so the Z4, it's not BMW's only sports car, is it? What makes this one stand out?
Yeah, good point. They've definitely got other sporty cars, but the Z4, it's always been about, I don't know, just pure roadster thrills.
Okay, I'm following.
It's for people who want, wind in their hair, that responsive engine, and just like feeling connected to the road.
Well, I could see that.
It's not about practicality or even like luxury, the way some other BMWs are. The Z4 is just unapologetically about the drive.
And speaking of the drive, one thing that really stuck out from our research is that the Z4, well, it's always been a gasoline engine car.
Right, totally. No hybrids, no electric versions. I think that kind of adds to its charm,
Yeah, definitely. You don't see that so much anymore.
It's for a certain type of driver, someone who appreciates the sound of a combustion engine. A little bit of a throwback in a good way.
For sure.
Yeah.
So let's rewind a bit. Our sources start with the first Z4 back in 2002.
Yeah, the first generation, known internally as the E85, or the E86 for the coupe.
And it was like a total head turner when it came
Oh,
out.
absolutely. A complete shift from the Z3 before it, which had that kind of retro vibe.
I'm actually looking at pictures now.
Mhm.
And yeah, the E85, it's got these sharp lines, this aggressive stance.
Exactly. It was a statement.
What's interesting is our sources say the designer was Danish.
Anders Warming, yeah. Not the typical German design team you'd expect from BMW.
So a fresh perspective. I like that. And it started out as only a roadster, huh?
Right, the E85.
But then they added a coupe version.
The E86 in 2006.
Seems like BMW is paying attention to what people wanted.
They always are.
Our sources also talk about how successful that first generation was.
Hugely successful. Over 100,000 sold in just the first 2 years.
Wow.
That's incredible for any sports car, let alone one in such a niche category.
Okay, now for the fun stuff. The Z4M models also launched in 2006, right?
Yes, both the Roadster and the coupe.
And it wasn't just a bigger engine. They went all out with performance upgrades.
Absolutely. The Z4M models got a whole suite of upgrades to really max out the driving thrills.
Like unique hydraulic steering, our sources mentioned.
Yeah, most Z4s at the time had electronic power steering, which is, efficient and all.
Right.
But the Z4M stuck with hydraulic steering, gave drivers much more feedback from the road.
Oh, I see.
It just made for a more connected, engaging experience, especially when you're, really pushing the car.
So it was all about feel. And what about the brakes? Any upgrades there?
Huge upgrades. They actually took the entire rear axle and braking system from the E46 M3, specifically the CS and CSL models. Talk about performance heritage.
Now we got to talk about that engine. What was powering the Z4M?
Well, it was the same engine they used in the E46 M3. A 3.2-liter naturally aspirated inline-six.
Right.
The S54 engine, absolutely legendary. It revved so freely. The sound was amazing.
Wow.
And it delivered power so smoothly throughout the rev range. Just a masterpiece.
I can just picture it now. So any choice of transmission, or was it just one option?
Nope, just one, a 6-speed manual, no fancy dual-clutch stuff.
So pure.
Pure and simple.
Right.
BMW wanted to keep that raw, driver-focused experience. You had to work for it.
Awesome. Okay, let's shift gears to the second generation Z4, the E89, which came out in 2009 and ran until 2016. And this one was quite a departure, right?
It was. For the first time, they ditched the soft top and went with a retractable hardtop.
Oh, wow.
Big change. It signaled a shift towards, I'd say, a more refined, comfortable driving experience while still keeping that sporty Z4 spirit.
Interesting. And I heard something about the design team for this generation, something unique.
Yeah, the E89 was the first BMW designed entirely by 2 women. Julianne Blasi did the exterior, and Nadia Arnaut the interior.
No way.
It was a landmark moment in car design for sure. Showed the industry was changing, becoming more diverse.
That's fantastic. So with the retractable hardtop, did they still have a separate coupe version?
Actually, no. They just focused on the Roadster with this generation.
I see.
I guess the retractable hardtop kind of gave you the best of both worlds. You get the sleek coupe look with the top up, and then bam, open air thrills when you put the top down.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about those higher performance models in this generation. They had the Psi models, right?
Yeah.
For sportier, more powerful versions.
Yep. And then the top of the line was the S-Drive 35.
What made those special?
Well, the Psi models definitely stepped up the performance game. But the S-Drive 35, that was the ultimate second-generation Z4.
Our sources say it had an upgraded engine.
Right, an upgraded version of BMW's twin-turbo N54.
Okay,
Same engine as the 1 Series M Coupe, actually. It was a beast in the Z4.
I bet. There was also something about an overboost function in the S-Drive 35.
Oh yeah, that was cool. When you really pushed it, this overboost would kick in, temporarily boosted the torque up to like 500 Newton meters. Crazy, right?
Wow, that's a lot of torque.
It gave you this extra burst of acceleration. You really felt it.
Awesome. And for this model, just one transmission choice.
Yep. Unlike the others, which had a manual or an automatic option, the S-Drive 35s only came with a 7-speed dual clutch. Super fast gearbox.
So I've gone from that sharp, edgy first-gen Z4 to the more refined, retractable hardtop second generation.
Quite the evolution, huh?
But there's still more to the story.
Oh, definitely. We haven't even gotten to the current generation yet.
Well, I guess we'll save that for part 2. Stay tuned, everyone. We'll be right back to continue our deep dive into the BMW Z4.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the BMW Z4. We left off talking about those first 2 generations, the E85 and E89.
Yeah, from those sharp angles to embracing the whole retractable hardtop thing, it was a really cool progression.
Totally. And that brings us to the current generation Z4, the
Mhm.
G29. It debuted in 2018.
This is the one that's been causing some buzz, right?
Yeah.
Because of its connection to the Toyota Supra.
Yeah, exactly. They share a platform.
Which is pretty unusual, right?
Mm-hmm.
2 cars from different manufacturers built on the same platform.
Definitely unusual. And a lot of people were skeptical when it was first announced. Like, did BMW just phone this one in?
I can see why people would think that.
But if you look closely, it's clear that BMW was really careful about keeping the Z4's unique personality, even with the shared platform.
Okay, how did they do that?
Well, they focused on things like weight distribution, 50.50 weight distribution, which is crucial for good handling. And they actually reduced the weight quite a bit compared to the E89.
So less weight, better balance. They were still committed to that classic Roadster feel.
Absolutely.
But visually, they look pretty different, the Z4 and the Supra. How did they pull that off with a shared platform?
Design philosophy, really. The Z4 still has those classic Roadster proportions.
Yeah.
Long hood, short deck, the cabin's set back closer to the rear wheels.
It's all about that open-air feeling, right?
Exactly, that connection to the road. The Supra, on the other hand, it's got that coupe-like profile. Lower, wider, a bit more aggressive, maybe?
I see.
So the Supra's design language leans more towards performance, aerodynamics. It's sharper, more sculpted.
But underneath, they're using a lot of the same components.
It's kind of wild, right? 2 different companies using the same basic building blocks to create 2 very distinct cars.
It's a testament to how flexible modern car platforms can be.
It is, and I think it also shows that BMW was serious about the Z4's heritage. They weren't going to just slap a BMW badge on a Supra and call it a day. They wanted the Z4 to stand on its own.
That makes sense.
Oh.
And that brings us to some exciting news for this generation, the return of the manual transmission.
Yeah. For the 2025 model year, they're offering a 6-speed manual in the Z4 M40i.
I bet driving enthusiasts were pretty happy about that.
Oh, yeah. BMW really listened to their fans on this one because for some people, there's just no substitute for that feeling of rowing your own gears, that direct connection to the powertrain.
I can definitely see that.
And they even gave this special edition a cool name, the Pure Impulse Edition.
Pure impulse. I like it. So it's not just the manual transmission, right? There are other performance upgrades, too.
You bet. They've tweaked the suspension, recalibrated the M differential for better handling, better power delivery. BMW clearly wanted this to be a real performance upgrade, not just some marketing gimmick.
This whole pure impulse thing, it really emphasizes what the Z4 is all about, driving pleasure.
Absolutely.
But it's not just about performance, is it? There's also this elegance to the Z4's design, and it's evolved over time.
Right. The design has always been a big part of what makes the Z4 so appealing. Remember that first generation, the E85, with those dramatic angular lines? It was so futuristic back in 2002.
Yeah, such a change from the Z3 before it. BMW is definitely pushing the boundaries of Roadster design.
And they kept pushing with the second generation, the E89. That retractable hardtop gave it a totally different look.
Yeah.
Sleeker, more sophisticated.
Plus, it was the first BMW designed entirely by 2 women, which is amazing.
Totally. It shows how much the car industry has changed.
For the better, for sure. And then the current generation, the G29, they went back to the soft top.
Yeah, but it's not just a throwback. The design language feels much more mature, more refined this time around.
I'm looking at some photos now. It's got these flowing lines, an aggressive front end, that long hood. Classic Roadster vibes.
It's a head turner for sure. And you can tell BMW put a lot of thought into every little detail. The way the soft top folds, the sculpted lines of the bodywork, it just oozes confidence and sophistication.
It's really cool to see how the Z4's design has evolved. BMW's never been afraid to take risks and experiment.
Totally. They've found a way to honor the Z4's heritage while also pushing the boundaries of design.
Okay, we've talked a lot about design, but what about the overall performance philosophy of the Z4? It's not all about horsepower and track times, right?
Nope. It's about balance. Thrilling driving experience, but without sacrificing comfort and refinement.
So it's a car you can enjoy on a twisty mountain road, but also one you could take on a long road trip and still be comfortable.
Exactly. And that balance is reflected in the engines and transmissions they've offered over the years. Powerful six-cylinder engines, more efficient four-cylinder options, and now the manual transmission is back.
There's a Z4 for everyone, it sounds like.
Pretty much.
And we can't forget about the handling. The Z4 is known for being super agile and responsive.
Yeah, the handling has always been a strong point. They really prioritize creating a car that feels connected to the road, one that responds intuitively to the driver's inputs.
I imagine that takes some serious engineering.
Oh, yeah. They focus on weight distribution, suspension tuning, steering precision. It all comes together to create that exceptional handling.
You know, I feel like the Z4 sometimes gets overlooked when people talk about the best sports cars.
I agree.
But based on what we're learning, it seems like it deserves to be right up there with the top contenders.
It might not be the most powerful or the most exotic, but it offers something more important. Pure driving enjoyment. It just makes you happy to be behind the wheel.
It reminds you why we love driving in the first place.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Okay, so we've covered design, performance, the whole driving experience. But what about the Z4's legacy? What mark has it left on the car world?
That's a good question. Unlike some of BMW's other iconic models, the Z4 has never been a huge seller. It's always been more niche.
So if it's not about sales figures,
Yeah.
how do you define its legacy?
I think it's about staying true to its core values. The Z4 has always been about delivering that pure, unadulterated roadster experience, and it's never wavered from that.
Even with the Supra thing, they made sure the Z4 had its own distinct character.
Exactly. That consistency, that dedication to its core values, that's what's earned it such a loyal following among enthusiasts.
Plus, it consistently gets great reviews for its design, handling, the whole driving experience. It's won a ton of awards over the years.
It has. And I think that niche status actually adds to its appeal. It's not a car you see everywhere, which makes it feel even more special.
It's like a hidden gem
Well,
for people who really get it, who appreciate what a well-engineered roadster is all about.
perfect way to put it.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive, but there's one more thing we need to explore: the Z4's cultural impact. We'll get into that and more when we come back for the final part of our Z4 journey. Stay tuned, everyone. We're back for the final part of our deep dive into the BMW Z4. We've talked about its design, the performance, even that whole Supra connection.
Yeah, we've covered a lot.
But now I'm kind of curious about, I guess you could say, its cultural impact.
Right.
You know, like how has the Z4 influenced the car world beyond just, being a great car?
Yeah, that's interesting because unlike some other iconic sports cars, I don't think the Z4 has ever really tried to be like a superstar.
Right. It's never been about being flashy.
Exactly. It's more about, I don't know, just staying true to what it is and connecting with, well, a certain kind of driver, someone who appreciates its style, that focus on driving pleasure.
It's got its own little corner of the car world.
Exactly. It doesn't need to shout about it. It just is what it is.
And yet, even without trying to be a mainstream car, the Z4 has still popped up in popular culture. You see it in movies, TV shows, music videos, even some celebrities drive them.
That's true. And I think those appearances actually reinforce its image. Like, it's a car for people who appreciate the finer things in life without being, too showy about it.
It's got that understated cool thing going on.
Exactly. It has a presence, for sure. But it doesn't need to try too hard.
So who is the Z4 for then? Is it just like one type of person?
Oh, definitely not. It appeals to all sorts of drivers. You've got people who are all about performance, the handling, but then there are also folks who just love the feeling of, top down, cruising down a beautiful road.
So it's not about age or demographics. It's more about a shared love for a certain kind of driving experience.
Exactly. It's about appreciating the journey. feeling connected to the road, enjoying a car that's both stylish and fun to drive.
I gotta say, after all this time researching the Z4, I'm really impressed.
Me too.
It's a car that's always pushed the boundaries, whether it's design or performance, but it's never lost sight of what's important. Driving pleasure, that refined style.
It's a winning formula.
It really is. Well, there you have it, Vintage Car Chronicles listeners. That wraps up our deep dive into the BMW Z4.
It's been quite the journey.
From its early days to the current model, we've explored everything. The design changes, those performance highlights, its impact on car culture. Hopefully you've learned a thing or two about this iconic Roadster.
It's a special car.
And a new episode of Vintage Car Chronicles comes out every day. So be sure to subscribe. Tune in tomorrow for another deep dive. We'll see you then.